Hi, everyone, and welcome to another Rare Talk series, a series where individuals can talk about issues and situations within the rare disease space to help raise awareness for a specific disease. We try to speak to people who have the same condition but are at different life stages to help try and show the daily struggles of living with these conditions and to bring awareness. My name is Chelsea, and I'm the youth coordinator for Rare Youth Revolution, and I will be hosting the talk today. I'm here with Joe and Sam. Would you both like to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Joe. I'm 26, and I was diagnosed with cystinosis at 14 months old.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm 26 and I was diagnosed with cystinosis when I was 3 years old.
So the first question is, how would you describe your condition to someone who hasn't heard of it before, and how does it affect your daily life?
I would describe it as, well, like officially it's like the lysosome can't transport cysteine out of cells, so it crystallizes. But if I was to describe it like how it affects my life, I would say like during kidney transplant stage, like that's probably like the worst kind of stage. And it kind of just affects my life. That kind of interrupted a lot by hospital visits, hospital appointments, like a lot of like fatigue and like pain and stuff like that. Yeah.
Pretty much the same. So I've had one transplant, but I need another one. I'm on dialysis right now. But I'd say for me, it's affected, like Sam said, the fatigue. Not so much the pain, but just kind of getting through every day was quite a struggle, especially when I was younger. And I didn't really fit in well at school, so it was quite awkward to socialize. I don't know if you get that as well, Sam, but I get quite a lot of anxiety sometimes. So that can be another issue to overcome. But yeah, it's just yeah, it's a difficult one to navigate.
So what would you say the main symptoms are for cystinosis?
I'd say like it's very different from person to person. My sister's got it as well, and she kind of has like worse symptoms. But I'd say the main symptoms, when I was younger, it was a lot worse because when I got my transplant, it got like things got a little bit better. But I'd say now, sort of like a lot of fatigue. I get quite like aching feet and like my legs because like when I do a lot of walking, and like nausea and probably like needing to go to the toilet a lot. But and like I'd say that's the main things at the moment, I think.
And I think for me, it's kind of the same, but it was in terms of like affecting it, the main symptoms were when I was younger, especially my skin was a really weird color because I don't know why, but people always used to say I had like really sickly like yellow skin, and then when I had my transplant, it changed immediately, and they really noticed the difference after my transplant. I guess that was just a build up of toxins, really. But yeah, when I was younger, definitely fatigue. I had rickets as well when I was younger. Yeah, so I had knock knees until I had an operation to kind of straighten my legs out. So like Sam said, walking quite a long distance was quite annoying as well, and I get tired easily. And medication was obviously a big hindrance as well to the everyday kind of life. When you go somewhere, you have to kind of plan it really well. And you just like a huge case of medicines everywhere. So yeah, it can be really annoying. But for the symptoms, it was just, I think, like Sam said, it was different from person to person because part of the Facebook group that I'm with, I see so many different people talk about how they're affected by something, and I think to myself, I've never had that before. So I think it's very varied in terms of how it does affect people.
How does your condition affect your family life?
I think like it's a lot of stress on family members, like especially my parents. Like I think out of like the small circle of my own house, it's less affected because they're not really like not like direct relatives. They're not there in the worst moments, kind of thing. But like I think it's like a lot of stress, especially like on my parents because like I had my transplant in 2010 and my sister was quite young and it like affected her quite a lot as well because she wasn't with my parents and then like she was like getting upset about that. And like just when like you get ill, like you can like especially as I get older, like I can see like more now that how it's affected like my parents. And like with my sister, she had her transplant in 2018, but she also had another operation, and they were like, and then I got ill like a few months after. I had to go to hospital, and like you could see like it was like really stressful. But like I think it affects that way, and I also think it sometimes can affect, apart from like mentally, it can kind of affect like family relationships, because you can't attend like all the events that all your family do, and I think sometimes people just like might not understand, especially if they're not there like in the worst moments. It's hard to really know like what it's like and stuff.
For me, my family's quite small anyway, but I think when I was first diagnosed, people really did like rally around my family to try and kind of comfort them, because it was a very hard time for them, especially when they didn't know what was wrong with me. But as kind of time moved on, people get less sympathetic, and it's kind of gone from their lives, so they're not like concerned about it anymore. So in a way, it kind of tightened the family bond, and we became stronger when I was a child. But in other ways, it kind of put quite a strain on my parents' relationship, I think, as well, which was interesting to see. But when you have something like a rare disease diagnosis, it's massive, and it kind of takes control of everything else. So that's a big part. It kind of break down kind of certain areas of family life, I think. Yeah.
How does your condition affect your school life, education, and or work?
It definitely, when I was in like high school and primary school, like I get a lot of anxiety as well, especially like when I was younger. Like my mum used to come give me my medication, like in school, but then as I got like older, like I think the teachers don't understand as well, because it's not like like it's not really like a visual condition. Like if I was going to school and stuff, like they can't really tell. So I think they don't, especially in primary school and high school, they don't really care as much. Like and in high school they were really like not very good, the medical team. And like when I went for my transplant, they didn't tell any of my teachers or anything. So like when I came back, they thought I'd been on holiday. So that was fun. But like, and then like I think a lot of kids like just kind of believe as well, like because I was really short. I'm still really short, but I don't really care anymore. But like I had like growth hormone, and they'd just be like, I like really young for my age as well. So like wherever I go, like especially in high school, they're like, oh, you're not supposed to be in this class, like you're too young. And I'm like, I'm literally the oldest in every single class I go to. And like because I'm at uni now, it affects like not so much that part, because like I've grown a lot like in confidence and stuff, and like now I'm more about advocating and not like hiding like the condition that I have. But it affects kind of with the fatigue, because like when I have to do like big projects, like, I get really worn out and stuff, because we were in the dark room recently doing photography, and we had to stand up for like ages, and I had my mask on, and I was like dying in there. But like yeah, it's like mainly fatigue, I think, and sometimes like missing class, if like that's what I get worried about, like missing class if I get really ill. But luckily I've managed to make it okay like through so far. But yeah.
Would you say that it was really hard, like, or maybe harder because it was an invisible illness, and so it was kind of hard to explain then?
Yeah, I think so, because people didn't understand, like especially in high school. Like now I've got a lot better friends, and like yeah, like gain confidence, and like I'm not afraid to talk about my health anymore really. And like the friends that I've made at uni, like they're really understanding, and like they all like are really nice. But when I was in like high school and stuff, like people, they just don't understand, like, and if I wasn't at school, like they just didn't really like believe like where I'd been or something or anything. And yeah, it's just hard to explain, because I don't have like I don't use mobility aids or anything, but I know some people do. But like even if I did, sometimes I get dirty looks in the bus, like if I sit in the priority seat. An old lady gave me a dirty look the other day. But I have my sunflower lanyard on, because I wear that a lot to like also show why like I'm wearing a mask and stuff, because I feel like people would just judge you otherwise, but they probably judge me anyway. But okay.
And for me, when I was at school, I was very short as well. And on the one hand, people used to say to me, "Oh, you look fine," but obviously I wasn't. It was just kind of I appeared to be okay. And on the other hand, people kind of judged me for being small as well. And also when I used to take medications, more medications than I'm on now, I was always worried about my breath smelling. I don't know if you got that as well, Sam.
Yeah.
But people used to make comments all the time when I was at school, and that used to really grind me down and kind of made the anxiety worse. So, and just I think even the teachers didn't really understand what I had, and they didn't want to learn either.
Yeah.
So I think that needs to be like kind of changed in the future for like rare diseases. Just because they're rare, people need to learn about them if you've got someone in your class that has one. So yeah, it was just missing classes because of hospital appointments, being like in bed most days when I was really bad. I used to have a first aider. I used to be kind of assigned to for like lunch breaks, so I could go and kind of hide in there and like nap for a while if I needed to. And that was good as well. And she used to keep my medication all the time, so I didn't have to lose it while I was walking around school or whatever. But yeah, it was sometimes there's a hard kind of time learning how to navigate school while being really ill. And then when I had my transplant at college, I like Sam had an experience with, I went for my transplant one day, and then I came back a few months later, and then they were like, "Oh, we didn't realize you went for a transplant. We just thought you kind of went off for a holiday or was like was moved to another college." Yeah, and that was it really. They didn't really ask any more questions, and I think people are either scared to ask questions or they just don't care. But yeah, it's a tricky one.
Did you both get any sort of accommodations at school, like say like to help you with exams and things like that?
No.
No, I never did either. I mean, obviously some other people had like learning disabilities, so they had to, but it was never like given to me as an option, which would have been actually quite helpful. So yeah.
Okay. No, I only asked because like my school like gave me that option. So for me, I always thought other people would have at least been given the option, but just not giving it to you at all, I think is not very good at all.
Yeah, I went to quite a small school, so that didn't really help in terms of understanding what I had either. Quite a rural school as well, so it wasn't like very diverse either. So the options they gave to me weren't, well, non-existent really. So it was the people who had learning disabilities were lucky to get support as well, and that was the kind of school it was. So it's just one of those things.
Yeah. Well, what about work for you, Joe?
Work, well, it was quite a hard time understanding, well, getting people to understand my condition when I was trying to get a career after I left college. I wanted to go to university, but because it was around the time I had my transplant, it wasn't really an option for me. It could have been for other people, but for me, I just didn't want to because it was a bit much for my health at the time, and I was just still recovering. So I kind of tried to do an apprenticeship, and that didn't really work out because I was taking so much time off, and they didn't really want to understand either. So that was kind of a struggle. And then I went kind of from job to job, and people just didn't understand again. So it was really hard to get into a job I actually liked and was treated well. And then obviously I found an internship with you, and that was really good. And I really loved doing that. And that got me the job here at Rare Evolution. So that was great as well. So in the long term, it was a very hard struggle to get where I wanted to be, which someone who had no conditions or health concerns might have had an easy kind of journey getting there. So yeah, it was quite a long time of getting where I wanted to be, and it gets getting people to understand when they're employing you is hard.
How has your condition impacted your social life?
I'd say quite a lot. Like less so now that I'm older. But when I was younger, like in primary school, I had like not a lot of friends at all because I used to go home at lunchtime as well, like at the beginning, because like I'd take too long to eat. I don't know if that was like because I didn't eat a lot when I was younger or just like my muscles, but I just took too long, so I had to go home. But yeah, in primary school I didn't really have a lot of friends. In high school I had some friends, but they weren't really friends, if that makes sense. And then college like was a little bit better, and then I got a job, and like I had some friends there, like, but my confidence was still kind of down. And then I like changed jobs and went to college to do an access course to get to uni, and like that kind of, yeah, I got some friends, but I feel like now I'm in a good place, but especially when I was younger, like they didn't really understand, and like I was more nervous to talk about it because like I didn't even really understand what I had when I was younger. Like So it was just, yeah, I didn't like talking about it. I didn't even like consider myself like disabled when I was younger. I didn't really know like what it meant and everything, and I just didn't, yeah, I didn't really want to talk about it too much. But like now I think it still affects it because I miss out on like going to some places like if I don't feel great, and like I'm slower than a lot of people, so like when I've gone out with friends before or like gone on holiday with friends, like I can't keep up with them, and it's just like they don't really like consider that. But when I've gone out with people who understand or people that actually have conditions, it's just really refreshing to just like take it slow and everything. And like when I'm at uni, the people who live in my flat, most of them are really like nice and considerate as well. So I've been glad about that, especially because of like COVID. I was really worried about coming to uni, but most of the people that I've met and that I've made friends with here are really like considerate, but it kind of affects it in the way that I can miss out on a lot of things, especially when I'm not feeling good. Yeah.
Mm. And when I was in junior school, I didn't really have a problem making friends. But then when I changed to senior school, where like puberty starts and people start to get their own personalities, that's when the bullying kind of started, and I kind of found it hard from then to kind of make friends and find my social circle. Kind of that was hard. But I obviously got out of that when I kind of grew older. But there's still some occasions where, so like a social occasion or going to some sort of like party or dinner or something, there's a part of me that always kind of like wants to pull back because I just feel like I'm going to be in some way humiliated, like from my past experiences at school. So that can be an issue. But apart from that, it's got a lot better since I was younger. Yeah.
How has your condition affected your hobbies? Have you had to adapt these in different ways?
Mm, I'd say kind of like I think one of the things that I used to really enjoy actually before COVID was like traveling, but that's kind of been affected, I suppose, because like I haven't really been able to do much stuff, especially around like lockdown time. But like what I'm studying at uni is kind of my big hobby, photography. So I don't think it's affected it like those kind of things too much because you can adapt that, like especially when I was at home during like peak COVID time before I was vaccinated. Like I had to adapt by sort of doing my photo shoots like in my garden or like inside and stuff like that. Um, so I don't think it's affected it too much. But when it's to do with active things, cause like I like things like roller skating, but like I'm really not like built for that. Like my knees like go inwards and like I've got flat feet and like it's just yeah, it's not. And then when I like do fall over, like it doesn't hurt, but then it like messes up my knees. So it's kind of affected things like that I enjoy, but I still kind of just want to do it anyway because like I enjoy it and I kind of enjoy doing things it's like I'm not supposed to do to just kind of like yeah. But I suppose I haven't had to adapt to it too much. But yeah, it depends I suppose how I'm feeling and what the thing is. Yeah.
I've never been athletic, so I've never really like been into sports or things like that. So that's kind of where it could be an issue if you get tired easily. But my hobbies have always been like creative, so kind of painting or drawing or writing. The only issue there is brain fog can sometimes get in the way when I'm writing, so I get quite a lot of writer's block even when I'm like at my work doing various articles that I've been writing gets in the way sometimes. But yeah, apart from that, it's not been too big of an issue because I'm not like really physical kind of hobby wise. So yeah.
Is there like a way that you kind of overcome the brain fog when you're at work?
I think the only way I kind of overcome it is just take a step back and do something else for a while. Or like go for a quick walk or something just to kind of take my way from the laptop because obviously staying at a screen isn't great. But I think kind of the key is just taking like regular breaks really.
What could people do to help make your daily life easier?
I think something easy to do is literally just like ask if you're okay and like even if because like when I'm out with someone like I don't really always feel comfortable asking to like stop or asking to rest, so it'd just be like really helpful for anyone to just like even if I don't want to rest, it's just nice for them to be like, oh, do you want to stop here or like something. Like now I'm a little bit better at doing that and my friends are more understanding, but especially like a few years ago it's just really hard because like I know that they don't understand, and then you just kind of feel awkward and like kind of thing. But that'll be good. And I think just offering, like, if you know that your friend is like in a hard time, or if they're like feeling really not good, it's just nice to offer, like, oh, can I like do anything, can I get anything, like, I don't know, from the shop. Like, some of my friends have done that for me lately, and like, yeah, it's just like simple things, just being like, are you okay, or do you want to rest, or yeah, just things like that, really.
When I was in lockdown during COVID, quite a few people offered like to get shopping and stuff for me while I was isolated with my mum. So that was really nice, and that's kind of helped. And kind of also, I think people are scared to kind of ask and understand what my condition is and what happens to me like on a daily basis. Just for fear of like embarrassing you, I think. But if they were like to take a minute just to ask how I am for that day or what it kind of involves, and I think it'll kind of make the friendship kind of stronger, or just kind of yeah, make it easier to kind of just talk about it as a whole and not feel like isolated, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Do you both have that thing where you find it hard to ask people, but in the way that if they then suggest that thing that you wanted, say like slowing down, for example, when you walk, it kind of makes it easier for you to then say yes to that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I was a bit awkward asking.
Yeah, I
yeah.
feel awkward asking as well. So then when someone else does it, I'll be like, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want to like rain on their parade, do you? And like get in the way of them
Yeah.
having a good time. So that's kind of why I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it makes you feel like less bad about it as well, because it's like they want to do it rather than you want to do it, but they're doing it on your behalf, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it shows that they care. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really nice when people do that.
Mm.
What are some future goals you have, and what obstacles do you face with trying to meet these due to your condition?
I think obviously like my main future goal is obviously to get through uni and like hopefully not have any like really bad health issues along the way, because that's one thing that I've been worried about, like, is my kidney failing like halfway through or something, because like it keeps jumping up randomly, my creatinine, and I'm like, can you just please just wait like a couple of years. But like it's started to jump up again, and then it went down, and it's just sort of jumped up recently. So that's one of the main things. But I'd like to, yeah, like finish uni. I really want to be like a director of photography on TV, like sets, but I think the long days I just physically couldn't do it. But that's kind of like a future goal. I'm not sure how I could get around it, but like something that I'd want to do in the future as well is kind of like create some kind of, like, I don't know if it would be like, say, like, for example, a show like about kind of disabilities and have like an inclusive thing like that. And that's kind of been something that I wanted to do, like try and find a job somewhere I think that understands and that I can have fun at, but I don't have to like burn myself out just to have fun, kind of that kind of thing.
For me, it's just obviously getting a transplant. And coming off dialysis would be nice. So I can kind of like travel more and experience more things without having to come like back home and go on the machine overnight. So I can like stay over more places without having to rely on the machine. And also kind of make people more aware that having a rare disease isn't the like end of everything. You can kind of do what you want to do within like limits. Yeah, so just keep being positive really is my future goal, I think.
What would be the first place you would want to go to?
We have said Japan, haven't we? But I'd like to go to Japan actually, yeah. I don't know, maybe the US, something like that. Anywhere, why not?
So the last question is, do you have any advice for someone watching who has your condition, or advice for any other young people living with a rare disease?
I would say like one of the main things I also see on Facebook about like teenagers with it is not taking their medications. I see a lot of parents really worried about that. So I think like one of my main pieces of advice, obviously, I know it like is like really is uncomfortable and makes you feel bad, but it is helping you in the long run. And the more you take your meds, like the better, not necessarily the better you're gonna feel, but like it hopefully will help you in the long run. And like that's kind of it. And also like don't be afraid to like stand up for yourself or advocate for yourself, because like I've always been quite shy and stuff, but like now I just try and like advocate for myself more. And I'm really lucky that when I've come to uni and switched doctors from where I used to live in the UK, like they're so much nicer and care a lot more, so that's like really nice. But it's just like you should be getting more than the bare minimum, which I didn't even get. But like yeah, don't be afraid to like advocate for yourself or ask for help, and to talk to other people with the condition, I think, or even just making friends with other people who've got chronic illness. It just helps to have someone to talk to who understands. So that'd be another piece of advice to like try and seek out other people and ask them questions if you need to, and like just seeking help for your mental health as well, I think, is like the last piece of advice that I'd give, because that's like really important as well.
Definitely taking your meds, but also I think I've seen lots of different times where people older than me who have cystinosis, they kind of are quite in ill health, and it's not very nice to see for them or for like me either, for like kind of the future sort of thing. But I think what I'd say is that the future isn't written in as like in concrete. It's not like a definite for you. And obviously there's like a cure being worked on now. So there is always a chance that very, very soon there could be a cure. So like don't give up hope. And it could get better for you and everyone else as well.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for watching, and for Joe and Sam for joining us today. It's been great learning about cystinosis and how it affects you and your daily lives. If you want to get involved with Rare Youth Revolution through one of our Rare Talks, get in touch with us through our website or social media channels, which will be linked at the end of this video. Bye for now. Oh wait, hold on, I'm not supposed to say that. Okay, so the next condition is I mean, is there anything that you do to kind of adapt or go around that at work? Oh, sorry, the doorbell. What was it again? Wait, hold on. Hold on.